right, guys. Hey, Pierre Nadeau from eXp Realty. I am excited to introduce a couple of rock stars from out west. I've got Simon and Connor with me, and really excited to find out a little bit about you guys and your journey, and kind of like you just made the move. How long ago? Was it a month, 2 months ago?
Beginning of December was our start date.
Yeah, so a couple of months ago, you make the move over to eXp. You had your own brokerage. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your story of where you were before? And then I want to transition into what did that look like as a move over to a cloud-based brokerage as opposed to owning your own brokerage?
I've been selling real estate since 2000, so about 23 plus years. And the last 17 were as owner, partner, managing broker at eXp Realty, which was a small independent brokerage that we had. And to be honest with you, that was all, we really enjoyed that. Great time in our lives, but we could see sort of the change in the industry around compliance, even income sharing with our realtors that worked with us. And to be quite honest with you, we just felt like the transition that was happening in the industry, there had to be a better way to do business. So we started looking for options and solutions. And to be really forthright with you, eXp stood out sort of head and shoulders above the rest.
So when you saw it though, when you first saw it, you talked to somebody within our organization, you first saw it, what was your first initial reaction?
Yeah, to be honest with you, my first reaction is, wow, why isn't everybody doing this? And so, I mean, you always have that sort of selfish side with your own brokerage. You go, oh, but I'll lose my brokerage, I'll lose that identity. But to be quite frank with you, the offering that eXp has from a tech standpoint, from a compliance standpoint, and really just from a market share, like there's such a big organization, and within the diversity of that organization, there's really people there to meet the needs that come up in the industry. So the cooperative power, the synergy is something that I thought, man, that is something that we want to be a part of. Really, that was my first response, was conceptually, why isn't everybody doing this already?
I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because, I mean, I had an independent brokerage too, right? And I remember when I first saw it, I sat back in my chair and I went, holy crap. First of all, is it legal? Is it in Canada? So I called the guy who shared it with me and I'm like, okay, is this in Canada? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, is it legal? And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, it's legal. So I called Rico and I called them and I said, hey, I want to know if this eXp thing is legal. And the lady started laughing. She goes, yeah, we're getting a lot of calls, but yes, you're good to go. But I was scared. As an independent owner, I was nervous because I knew I couldn't offer that technology. I knew I couldn't offer my agents a revenue sharing plan. I couldn't offer them stocks. I was nervous that if I don't do this, everybody else is going to do it. I'm going to lose all my agents, right? So you did the transition, which was great. And then you see the model, you did a lot of research, right? You guys didn't make this decision overnight. Like you gave it a lot of thought, you had conversations. So how did that look like, that transition time? Because a lot of independent brokerages and big teams are always concerned. Like I met with somebody yesterday, right? They're like, logistically, how do we do this? How do we move all this over to there, right? And you had to do that too. So what did that look like?
Yeah, so like fortunately, the group that we had in our brokerage, which is 9 agents, they were really open-minded to the change. And quite frankly, the more they learned about eXp, the more excited they got about the change. So I think that sort of teaspoonful of sugar helped, because when we actually made the change, everybody told us in advance, hey, it's a lot that's going to come at you guys all at once. So no matter how many times we heard it, I don't think we really understood the scope of it. So when we actually made the change, there was a lot of, I'm going to say, like just transitional pain where you're going, oh man, like we got to do this. Oh yeah, we got to do this. We got to do that. Good support from eXp all the way around, to be honest. But when they told us in advance, there's going to be some pain, we really didn't understand the full scope of that. But I think that the positive attitude going in helped to carry us through the transition. So to be honest, that's kind of how it went.
We tell people it's like drinking from a fire hose when you first start. So, and I guess that would be the biggest thing, right? And people say, who's eXp good for or not good for? Well, it's not good for people that aren't willing to change and adapt, right? And we all hate change. We do. We'd rather keep our warm slippers on and, sit by the fire and just keep doing what we've always been doing. But the problem is the people that don't change and adapt get left behind. And, we've seen that over and over in the real estate industry, because as things change, if you're not willing to do that, you're in trouble. And it's the guys like you that have gone out and made those changes. You got to go through about a month worth of pain because you're learning something new, right? You're learning new systems. What about your agents? How were your agents with the whole process? Once, let's say 30 days in, now what did it look like for them?
Initially, I'll be honest with you, some of the most valuable people were there's a couple of people at eXp that we were introduced to who kind of told us, look, anything you need, just reach out to us. So there was a lot of that in the beginning, like, how do I do this? Where do I find this? How do I accomplish this? And they were super helpful. But I think 30 days later, our agents were like, hey, I'm getting this. Like, I'm figuring it out. And the more that they understood it and learned it, the more they liked it. So it was definitely, it went from painful expectations to probably like satisfaction in like 30 days was probably a realistic turnaround on that. We're still learning, we're still growing, but part of it, I mean, you talked about change and growth. And I think we were very much creatures of habit in our little brokerage, in our small corner of the world. And we almost put ourselves behind. And so it got to a point where we needed to make a really substantial change, and eXp was really a great vehicle for that. So they enabled us to sort of make those quantum leaps in a really structured and efficient way.
As an owner, being with eXp is like you own your own brokerage, but without the headaches, right? So Connor, what kind of headaches do you have when you own your own brokerage?
Yeah, there's plenty of headaches.
The reason I'm asking you is because there's a lot of guys that I talked that have big teams, and the next step is let's open our own brokerage. Let's either buy a franchise or let's buy a brokerage. So now what?
Yeah, I know. I guess for us, because we had a small brokerage, so you're doing all of the duties. And as the industry changed, we've noticed it in the last 10 years, it just every year it became more and more and more things to do. And I mean, that's one thing I found that, it's only been 2 months, but it's a little bit of a weight off your shoulder. In a sense, like, the switch to eXp, because it's like, no, we don't have to go and do all the managerial stuff of running the brokerage. It's like we can focusing on selling and just your business now. It's been a really good change for sure.
Now, did you guys keep your office or did you go full virtual?
We did. We kept our office. All our agents stayed. None of them went out working remotely. So we kept our office space. Yeah. And it's been working really well we're only 2 months in, but it's been going well.
So for those people that are watching that have maybe their own brokerages or teams or whatever, what happens with eXp is if you do have an office, you can keep it, turn it into a branch office. And the only difference is you're not handling the accounting, the checks, the liability, the broker of record questions at 10, 11 o'clock at night or on a Sunday morning. You can let other people do that. So now what I found is, and I think this is why my business grew so much in 10X in the first year even, was I was able to do money-making activities as opposed to things that were not making me money, like giving me the headaches. I was now able to either sell more or go and get more agents, to grow my revenue share group and things like that. So I think that helped me with some of the pain points that I was having. I will tell you this, I kept my office too for 4.5 years. And this year we sold the office because my expenses were probably $15,000 a month and nobody but my son and I were going to the office. So we're like, this is stupid. And I kept it because I didn't want to lose my agents in the beginning. And I didn't want people to use that as like an excuse, right? So then we went out and we got 60, 70, 80 agents. I don't even know how many we have in Kingston now. And nobody was coming to the office, but everybody would show up in a virtual meeting, right? And now they're saying that because what we're doing is we're doing monthly activities, and we also do like pickleball every Wednesday. We do a monthly meeting with breakfast. We do every other month, we do like an event where we go and do something like paintball or golf or whatever. We do something fun together. And they're saying that we have more, camaraderie and culture now than we've ever had. And we don't even have an office space. Mm-hmm. So that's
interesting. Yeah.
That could be down the road for you guys too, right? If that's what you decide to do, right? But there's the potential of that, because I talk to so many companies right now that they still have the bricks and mortars and the franchises, and their profit levels are so low because it's become so competitive. All the top agents are wanting to nickel and dime you to death because they want the best deal possible. And there's so much competition that you have to give them that deal. Well, then guess what? You're not making any money. You still got to pay the bills. So where do you see things going this year? What are the goals? What are you guys hoping to achieve?
If I can speak to that, I mean, I honestly, in the beginning, Peter, we didn't know how it would all shape out. We thought this is a major transition for our brokerage to go transition over to eXp. So at this point, we hadn't set a lot of goals, but we're starting to get agents reaching out to us, from other brokerages asking like, hey, what is eXp all about? Don't tell anybody my name. Don't tell anybody that I called, but tell me what eXp is all about and how does it work? So, and Connor and I have talked a bit about it. We're sort of going, hey, let's get we need to get a strong and firm understanding of everything that eXp offers, which we're still growing in. But once we get that handled, we're happy to sort of just facilitate that. And to be honest with you, I feel like the brokerage really sells itself. So for me, it's ahead of schedule. I didn't realize that the transition would be so fast and that would start so quickly. So what do you think, Connor? Let you speak to that.
Yeah, I think so too. With our group, we're only 2 months in. The learning curve has been quick. We ask around, and I get other people out of the industry, people that are just friends and acquaintances. They say, what's it like? What's the switch been? And the transition has been really smooth. As far as goals, we haven't really set goals yet, but now that we're 2 months in, we'll probably think of doing that. Yeah. It's time.
It sounds a lot like when I started, right? Because the first little while was, okay, I'm going to get to learn a little bit more about, what's going on, what's available to me, because there's a lot of technology and there's a lot of things that are available to us to help us grow, right? But we get so used to not having that stuff, and now all of a sudden you've got it. It's like, okay, what can I do with it now, right? So for me, I went from selling a whole pile of homes to all of a sudden everybody started asking me questions about eXp. Like, what's the deal? What's going on? I see your business is growing. I see you're doing more now. I see I see you guys all over the place. So, and then I also see you're adding agents, and our team was growing and everything else, right? And it was because our team grew and our brokerage grew because we had more to offer now. We had the best technology. We had stock options for people. We had revenue share. We had the coaching. The coaching was unbelievable. And I love coaching. So for me, I didn't want to be the guy that was always doing the coaching. And now I get to learn at the same time as them. I'm learning the same stuff, right? So I think that was really, really cool. But what happened was, after the first year, we 10x'd. We went from 13 agents to over 100 agents. And I didn't even mean for that to happen. It was the same thing as you. People just reached out and asked a question. And I said, here, take a look at the model. Tell me what you think. And it would sell itself. It's that good that we don't have to push it on anybody, but it is life-changing. I mean, I'm 5 times more profitable now, 4 years later, and I work probably a quarter of the amount of time that I used to work before. And I get to deal with amazing people like you that are entrepreneurs, that are looking to get better. Why did you make the move to eXp? What was the deciding factor?
The decision to change to a different brokerage model was really precipitated by the fact that there were other agencies reaching out to our realtors, trying to recruit them and say, hey, we want to come work for us. We can offer you. It was always, we can offer you a better deal than you're getting it at Capsule Realty. But quite frankly, our agents were like, man, we really like the group we have. We want to be able to work together. We want to stay together, but we need to find a better way. And honestly, the transition was really because eXp was that better way. Fortunately, I had a couple of acquaintances in the industry, good friends of mine who we would lean on each other to just give input and what have you. I reached out to both of them and they both had made the transition to eXp. It wasn't like starting from zero. It was with really some encouragement from friends and people who had been successful with that same transition. So it was almost a natural for us. It was a matter of time before we would get there. And when we got there, it was the natural evolution.
Awesome. Love that answer. Guys, listen, I know you guys are super busy. You got lots going on. I appreciate you jumping on the call. I love to hear from guys like you. I'd love to hear your stories. And anybody that has any questions about moving a team or a brokerage over, I strongly recommend that you reach out to Simon or Connor, have a conversation with them. No obligation, but get the facts, guys, because I think once you start getting the facts, that's what happened to me. The more I learned, the more I had a good gut feeling about it. And even my wife said, why are we doing this? We're number one already. We're already making good money. I said, yeah, I'm making good money. I'm working 80, 90, 100 hours a week. But if something happens to me, you're done. So we need an exit strategy, and eXp was the exit strategy. And I'm sure glad we made the move, but I'm so excited that you guys made the move because you guys are great guys and we're going to do a lot of big things this year. I'm here to help you, and guys, reach out to these guys because they are machines and they're doing good stuff. So get your questions answered. We appreciate you all and hope to see you guys soon.